Hi guys, it's Dee. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today I wanted to do a little conspiracy video because I haven't done them in a while. And the conspiracy theory that I'm going to do is one that I'm really interested in. You might not have heard of it before, but if not, don't worry, there's lots of stuff online and on YouTube that you can do your research and get a little kind of backstory on. So I want to talk about the Mandela effect. Now you might have heard of this, as I said, and you might not. So what the Mandela effect is what people think it is it's looking at an event or something that's happened, or maybe something like physical, like a brand or something, and it's a large number of the population misremembering it or thinking that it said something or was something that it wasn't. And it's not just a few people, this is like a good bit of the population remember it being one way when it actually was another way, or remember it being spelt a certain way and it wasn't, it was actually spelt this way. And the reason that it's called the Mandela effect is because it all kind of happened around Nelson Mandela, because a lot of people remember Nelson Mandela dying in prison in the late 80s or the early 90s. But actually turns out he didn't die to 2013, and a lot of people have a memory and remember him dying in prison in the 80s or the 90s. But no, he lived till 2013. So that was actually one that really played with my mind, because I was like, wait a minute, I'm sure he died. Like, I learned about him in primary school and he died in like the 90s, and now it's saying that he didn't die at 2013. And what this could be is like an alternate reality or universe, and it's like we're in one reality and there's another reality where he did die in the 90s and it's crossed over or whatever, or we've bleeded into one universe and or it's bleeded into ours. It's crazy, and if you're not a believer, you're going to look at this like, whoa, you are absolutely nuts. Like, phone the nut job hospital. Like, I totally get that, but it is crazy, and there might be some in here where you're like, wait a minute, I remember it being that, and it's not. So let's look at some examples, right, of, and by the way guys, I'm sorry, like I tried to not wear my glasses because the ring light's reflecting in it, but I actually can't see what I'm reading from. So the first the first Mandela effect is "Look, I am your father" from Star Wars. So if you haven't heard or seen Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back, you probably recognise the famous line where Darth Vader says to Luke, "Look, I am your father." However, you might be surprised to learn that the line wasn't actually said like that, and that wasn't actually the line. The line is actually, "No, I am your father." But so many people, like especially like die-hard Star Wars fans, remember it being, "Look, I am your father." Like, I don't even watch Star Wars and I knew it as, "Look, I am your father." I'm pretty sure there's like merchandise and things, and even cartoon shows or other shows have referred to Star Wars in the views, "Look, I am your father." But no, turns out the line that they actually say is, "No, I am your father." But many people have memories of it being, "Look, I am your father," which is just crazy to me because I remembered it like that. So that totally blew my mind. The second one is from the Disney film Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. You probably recall the line in the movie being, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all?" But that's not actually the line. The actual phrase that the evil queen says is, "Magic mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all?" But I remember it being, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all." And that just makes more sense to say, like that rhymes and it just like rolls off the tongue, like "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all?" But "Magic mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all?" I just feel like "mirror, mirror" sounds better and makes more sense. And there's like a show, there's like a film that was made a couple of years ago with Julia Roberts, and it's called "Mirror, Mirror." So for it to not actually be "Mirror, mirror," for it to be "Magic mirror on the wall" instead, it's crazy, because I remember it being "Mirror, mirror on the wall," but it's not, it's actually "Magic mirror on the wall," which is nuts. Let's do another one. It's just, oh, so some of these are like American, so some of these we don't actually get over here, like some of these TV shows and that, like, we don't. So this is another one. So from the classic 1994 film Forrest Gump, the main character shares a quote that he picked up from his mum. In the scene, people think what Forrest Gump, and I thought this is what he said, was, my mother always said life is like a box of chocolates. Right? But the actual line that he actually says that is, my mother, oh wait, oh my, no, so what he actually said was, he didn't say my mother always said life is like a box of chocolates. He actually says life is like a box of chocolates, you never know what you're going to get. But people remember him saying, my mother always said life was like a box of chocolates. But no, he didn't say anything about his mum, like, at all. Crazy. Another one is Sex and the City. So many people swore that the title of the show was Sex in the City, but the actual name is Sex and the City. But so many people remember it being Sex in the City. There's even like proof of like perfume bottles and perfume packaging where it says Sex in the City, and I thought it was Sex in the City, but it's not, it's Sex and the City. But so many people remember it being Sex in the City, but it's actually Sex and the City. And there's actually legitimate merchandise with the show spelled as Sex and the City. That, I'm sorry, but that's just, that's nuts. Like, I remember it being Sex in the City. Okay, that's quite a mind. I'm not going, I don't want to swear on YouTube, but yeah. So let's do some more. Like, there's so many more interesting ones, and I want to get them up because it really does. It really blows your mind. It's like technology, honestly. So this one's about Curious George, the kid TV show about the little monkey. So many people remember Curious George having a tail, but turns out he doesn't have a tail at all, which makes sense because monkeys don't have tails. But I remember Curious George having a tail, but turns out he never had a tail. So that was crazy. Another one's the Bernstein Bears. So people believe that the Bernstein Bears was spelled E-I-N instead of A-I-N, but it's actually the Bernsteins, and it always has been A-I-N. It was never E-I-N. I've never heard of the Bernstein Bears. It must be an American thing. Another thing is, see the guy from Monopoly, the rich uncle guy that has, well, I was going to say that he's the looking glass, but you know, the guy on Monopoly that wears the top hat and the black suit and the little bow, like, turns out that he never had a monocle. He never had a wee glass to look through, but so many people remember, even me myself, the Monopoly man, having a little glass eye thing that he looked through. Turns out he never had that. That was crazy to me because I remember him having a monocle. Some of them I'm like, oh. And so the other one is, what's the other one? Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. So people believe that Mother Teresa became a saint back in the 90s. However, Mother Teresa didn't actually become a saint and wasn't declared a saint until 2016. But I feel as if she'd been a saint, was named a saint way back in the 90s. Because I don't remember her only becoming a saint recently. Like, oh, who do you think you are, Mother Teresa? Like, oh, Saint Mother, like, that's saying. But she wasn't actually a saint until 2016. But people have a memory, including myself, of her being a saint since the early 90s. But nope, she wasn't. Not until 2016. It's honestly, it makes me sick. Like, thinking about it, I'm like, what the hell? Let's do some more. It's nuts. It really is nuts. What's the other ones? Right, okay. So the other one, and it's crazy the way people try and like, oh, it's just a false memory, but like 2 million people believe. Like, I definitely think it's like a like a universe thing. 'Cause I'm dead spiritual, but if you're not, then fair enough. But it's definitely strange. So the other one is Pikachu. People remember that Pikachu having a black tip on his tail. Turns out he never had a black tip on the bottom of his tail. It was just a solid yellow tail, which is crazy because I remember him having black at the bottom of his tail. Also, Mickey Mouse. People think that Mickey Mouse wore suspenders. You know, that it had the little straps like suspenders. Mickey Mouse didn't. He never wore suspenders. Crazy. It's just, it's really, it's mad. And there's this is another one. Henry, people believe the painting of Henry, you know, the famous painting of, you know, Henry that beheaded all his wives, that in the painting he's holding a turkey leg. But he wasn't, and that painting never existed. I'm sure in school there was a like famous painting of him standing and he's holding a turkey leg and something else in that hand, and he's, but no, that doesn't exist. That painting never existed. And this is another one which I thought as well, but it's not true. Wait, right, so where is New Zealand in relation to Australia? If you look at the map, you will see that it is in the southwest of the country. However, there is a community of people who claim that New Zealand was north instead of south. But it's actually south, but a lot of people remember it being to the north. And people remember a memory that Shazam, the film Shazam that starred the actor and comedian Sinbad in the 1990s. In fact, no such movie exists. There was a children's movie called Kazam and some other coincidences that could help explain how this movie became created or remembered. So people remember there being a movie called Shazam that starred the comedian and actor Sinbad in the 1990s, but in fact no such movie exists. There's only a kids show called Kazam. But I remember in Scary Movie 1 when she's on the phone and he's like, oh, what's your favourite scary movie? And she's like, oh, Shazam. And he's like, what? And she's like, you know, the one with Shaq. I remember that in my head so clearly, but turns out no, it's not a thing. And it says, so when people are describing what the Mandela effect is, a more than likely explanation for the Mandela effect involves false memories. Before we consider what is meant for false memories, let's look at the examples. So what they're basically saying is they think that it's like a misleading bit of information that's maybe been on the TV once or twice and then it's just kind of get passed on and it. But even at that, I don't even believe that. This is the one that I believe. One theory for the basis of the Mandela effect originates from quantum physics and relates to the idea that rather than one timeline of events, alternate realities or universes may be taking place and mixing with our timeline. In this theory, this would result in groups of people having the same memories because the timeline has been altered as we shift between realities. You are not alone if you think this sounds unrealistic. Unfortunately, the idea of alternative realities means that there is no way to disprove that Meaning there is no way to disprove that these other universes don't exist. I mean, like, we're only in one universe, one galaxy. Like, we don't know what else is out there. And it's like, you can't prove it's real, but you can't prove it's not real. That's definitely one I believe. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it interesting, and if you didn't know about Mandela effects, you obviously do now. If you want more information on it and you want more examples of Mandela effects, you can go on Google, YouTube, TikTok, and there's so many more there. So I'd advise you, if this took your interest, to go and have a wee look, because it's really, really interesting and it is mind-blowing. It's crazy, and some of them I'm just like, what the... Anyway, I hope everyone has a good week. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and keep your eyes peeled for my next video. And I can't go without saying the line, stay gorgeous.